Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand. I'm Lynette Jackson, and I am your host, and I'm super excited to come to you guys with another awesome guest. I've been bringing some firehouse people, and tonight is no exception. We got another firehouse person, and I'm just going to say this. I've been bringing in some fire women, okay? And so I'm so excited that I have excuse me for a second. I have another powerful woman that's going to come and talk to us about money. Money, 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 money. We all want it. So tonight's show is the truth about money management. And our guest is really going to help us tonight. But before we get started, hey, I do have an announcement. Well, I think I'm just going to show you the announcement. All right, did y'all see that? Starting next Thursday, Speak Out Loud will not only be on YouTube and Facebook on Tuesdays, but every Thursday on the beautiful KBCN network. You can download it on Roku TV, download the app, and we are going to be on as well. Thursdays at 6. So Tuesdays at 6, Thursdays at 6 p.m. I'm super excited about what God is doing for Speak Out Loud and what God is doing with Roar Media Group. All right, so I want you guys to sit back, relax. We're going to get started. Oh, before we do that, get you a pen and a pencil out too, because this is going to be good. Let's go.
You're watching Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand.
About that. See how modest she is, y'all? But let's go. So roasted crickets, I'm like, not eating that.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Every day showing up, even when you don't feel like it.
And now your host, Lynette Jackson.
Did y'all like that new opening? We got a new show opening, y'all. I'm excited about that. You know why? Because we are going on TV. All right. So for those that know me, I'm Lynette Jackson. And for those that don't, I am the owner of Roar Media Group. Roar is a digital marketing company that helps its clients speak out loud in the marketplace with stunning graphics, websites, strategic plans, voiceovers, videos. We are also considered to be your church brand strategist because 90% of my clients are churches and nonprofits. And that's why today I have this beautiful client with me, beautiful guest with me today, because she also works in the nonprofit space. And I'm going to tell you, I would consider us the church ladies, okay? I would consider the two of us to be the church ladies, okay? Because she's going to help you get your finance right, and I'm going to help you get your strategy right. So the two of us together, we are the church ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who may know her and for those who don't, I would love to introduce to some and present to others my good friend, Miss Janiel Youngblood. Hello, Janiel.
Hi.
How are you today, my love?
Wonderful, wonderful. So glad to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to be a part of this amazing podcast.
Yay.
I love all the intros. Roar Media is definitely living up to its name because it is definitely on fire. That's awesome.
We're trying to roar, girl. We're trying to roar. We had to get us a new opening because, we're on KBCN next week.
Yes.
And so we're just trying to just step our game up. We have to level up,
Yes.
God has taken us to different levels, and we want to go level up with
Yes,
him.
absolutely.
But I am so excited. Thank you so much, Janiel, for joining me, because as I mentioned in the introduction, I just considered us the church ladies. When I met you and we first had a conversation on the phone, we hit it off so well simply because we both have a passion for the same thing,
Yeah.
which is helping God's people in churches.
Yes.
We want to see them win.
Yes, for
We want to
sure.
see them win. And I didn't know there was another me out there, another person that had the same passion, until I met you. And I'm like, oh my God, she's perfect because she does finances and I don't do finances.
Understood. I'm glad. I'm
But
glad
I
we able to
need
connect.
you.
And I need you for sure.
I need you because I'm working with clients all the time, and I run into helping them to put together strategies and help them with their marketing. And one of the things, of course, is I need money to do that.
Yeah.
And I run into the problem all the time that there is no budget. There is no budget. They have no budget. And so I'm thinking, you know what, for all my clients that I work with and for anyone else that's watching this program tonight, if you have a business, if you have a nonprofit, if you have a church, this is the show you want to see, because we're going to tell you the truth about how to manage your money. And we got the expert. Miss
Yes.
Janiel Youngblood. So I always start off with asking, and of course, I know you know this because we're clubhousers and we're MMC sisters.
Yes. Yes.
We have the same business coach,
Yes.
but I always start off asking my my guests, the 4 clarity questions, which is, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? And who do you do it for?
Yes. So I am Janiel Youngblood, CPA, but I like to be referred to as the financial lighthouse because I am so passionate about guiding church leaders towards greater financial stewardship. Why? Because I feel like if any organization, if any entity should be handling its money correctly, it should be the church. I mean, after all, we're responsible for God's money, right? Like it's people's precious tithes and offering, their worship that they're bringing to the storehouse for the leaders to be able to do what needs to be done in the kingdom. And so I feel like we've got a great responsibility in order to be good stewards over those resources. So yes, I serve churches and I do it because I'm passionate about us taking care of God's money.
Taking care of God's money. And you've said a lot because, in the world of the prosperity preachers, in the world of so many nonprofits and churches taking people's money and misappropriating funds, it's really important. People don't want to give to nonprofits. They don't want to give their money to churches because they always say, oh, well, the preacher's going to just take my money and the preacher's going to do this and the preacher's not going to use the money well, or they feel like because they have this extra access to this money, because they are the senior pastors or the people who started these churches, they kind of almost look at it as, oh, I can just dip in to this money whenever they wanted to. I knew a pastor that rode around with the church's checkbook in his trunk.
I'm not surprised.
And he would write a check. He used that church's money like it was just his own personal. And when I first met with him and saw him do that, I was like, where did you get this checkbook? And why are you writing me a check without dual signatures or dual process? Or why is there not an accounting process where this goes through? Because the sheep don't like you touching the money.
And that is the truth. That is the truth. And it's an issue of accountability. I think it's accountability and control. Let me first say, we know, you and I both know, there are many leaders who are doing it right.
Absolutely.
Setting an awesome example. And sometimes don't get the due, praise that they should get because they are doing it right. But unfortunately, it's the few who do it wrong that make us all look bad. And I tell my clients when I partner with them, I'm not coming in to report you to anybody. My responsibility is to come in and help protect the reputation of your church. Why do I care about the reputation of your church? Because we're all in the kingdom together. So if you get on the front page of somebody's paper, it has an impact on me because we serve the same God, right? And so I'm like, you can't show up and make my God look bad. So I have a vested interest in partnering with my clients to make sure we get this right, because lives are at stake, literally. We don't want to lose the trust of the people who are giving their offering, their worship to the storehouse. And when I hear and see and have clients where pastors are doing that, it shows a lack of accountability. And there's a scripture in 1 Corinthians that talks about making sure that we're not just doing things right in the sight of God, but also in the sight of men. Like people are watching us. So our testament of how we're handling our finances, it says a lot about our walk, right? And so if we have no accountability and doing whatever we want to and not operating under submission, what does that say about our relationship with God, right? And so I always caution my leaders, particularly ministers who start a church on their own. It's different if you're in a denomination and you step into an establishment. There's probably a little more protocols. But when you started on your own, whether it's a nonprofit or a church or even a business, sometimes we get lax with those protocols because we feel like it's my business, it's my money, it's my. No. As I mentioned in the introduction, it's God's money, particularly from a church perspective. It's God's money. If in a nonprofit, it's your donor's money. They're giving you the money to be a steward over it, right? So there has to be a level of accountability, checks and balances in place to hold us all accountable.
You know, I love what you said because a lot of times people don't want to tell the emperor he has no clothes on. And that's really our job. It's a really tough job.
Yeah.
But you and I both have to go in and tell the emperor, you've been naked for a long time.
Yeah.
And nobody around you, your circle, will not tell you that you're naked.
Right.
So a lot of times they have a lot of yes people around them that don't want to tell them the truth, that are not, that don't want to tell them that, you know, commingling the church's money with your personal finances is not good.
Right.
That you shouldn't do this. And even those that are starting and even those that have been established in a while, you need to have bookkeepers, you need accountants, you need people that can tax people, you need legal folks to keep you compliant.
Yes.
And so I think that is just so awesome because people don't want to know. They just kind of look at a blind eye. Oh, it's not going to look right now, but I have access to the money. And then those that are around them won't tell them you can't spend that money for that.
Yeah. And you know, Lynette, you reminded me of something by saying that often I hear from pastors. And I want to keep in mind too, this is for nonprofits and even business owners. Sometimes I hear, I don't take a salary, right? And somehow that justifies using the money any way you want to because I don't get a salary, right?
Well, I don't get a salary.
You can't do that. You cannot do that because in essence, you really are getting a salary.
Right.
You're just not handling it properly. And so I really caution my leaders about saying you're not getting a salary because if you're getting fringe benefits, if you're getting access to money and things being paid for on your behalf without any accountable structure in place, then that you're receiving taxable income. And so I really caution our leaders about, thinking they're doing it, out of the goodness of their heart, not taking a salary. But if you're swiping that card or writing that check and filling up your gas tank along with the church van and all of that, those type of things can invoke consequences. So, we just have to be very mindful about keeping that accountability in place, that it's not just our money. I think it's also a matter of control, right? Of like wanting to be in control and do whatever we want, but we're not. We all have to submit to somebody and to something.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we can submit willingly or unwillingly because the IRS don't play.
Let me tell you something. They don't play. Right. They just don't play. And they gonna get theirs. They coming for theirs.
Yes.
And we just have to make sure that we are people of integrity. And here's what I find challenging is that, we can, some of the pastors will ask for an offering from the pulpit and they will use every scripture to collect that offering, but will not use those same scriptures to do what? Manage the money. And this is why this show is called The Truth About Money Management, because they won't use those same scriptures. You talked about something today on you did a Teach Me Tuesday. We have something on Teach Me Tuesday on Clubhouse in our cohort. And boy, you were on fire this morning, my sister. Man, I have 7 questions here based on those things. I was writing because we got to talk about this. But you talked about the parable of the talents, Janiel. I just want you to share that, because for anybody that's a pastor or a church leader or a ministry or a nonprofit that deals with in this space, just know what that means. Talk about parable.
Yeah. So when I think about that parable and the 3 individuals that receive talents, and I'll just say money for this example, there was one that hid it and buried it and didn't do anything with it. And there was some that went and invested and did some things to produce more, right? And without all the details of the story, what I was talking about this morning is that the one that didn't do it was expected. They just kind of buried it, and I even though in the story this person buried it, I say they didn't do what was expected, what they should have done with it, right? So in the end, those who invested got more, not just from the return of what they invested, but the leader gave them more. And the person who didn't do what they were supposed to, they didn't even get to keep what they had. They got it taken away from them.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's imperative that we do what we are tasked to do with the talents, with the gifts, with the monies that God has given us.
That's
because
right.
if we don't, there's a level of accountability. The judgment will come.
Oh,
right?
It's going to come.
And so we have to be mindful that if we're doing some things, and the reality is, if we don't know what to do, ask.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Don't just hide it away. Don't just keep doing the old habits and messing things up. If you don't know, like
That's
you
right.
mentioned, surround yourself with a team, because
Absolutely.
the worst thing you can do is lose what you have and be banished, right? Coach said you're even banished.
I know.
Right?
Coach
so there is consequence to
Coach is
not
out here with us
necessary.
tonight, and he's like, hey, y'all. But he mentioned something. He said they were banished into outer darkness, where they were put out, or they were stopped, or they were shut down. Because you can call it whatever you want to call it. As I mentioned to you, and we were just kind of doing a little preliminary, it's interesting that I've watched 3 shows. I think they're on Netflix and HBO, and I think one's on Prime. 3 shows about churches, about large mega churches and ministry. One is one of these. They're poking fun. It's called The Family Gemstone, and it is funny. But for me, as a person who's worked with mega churches, worked in mega churches, or attended mega churches, been on staff at mega churches, I get it. I see it, and I understand what's going on behind the scenes. And they kind of poke fun at it. It's kind of joking, but I can see the underlying truth behind the whole situation. The second one that I finished this month, actually last month, was the Tammy Faye story. Now, disclaimer, I grew up during the PTL movement. I'm a lady of a certain age. I'm proud of it. I'm 60 years old. I'm thinking
and look wonderful. Look wonderful.
But I grew up during the 70s and 80s during the PTL movement. And I can remember just like being so hook, line, and sinkered into the PTL movement and seeing that they were doing such great things. And in the very beginning, they were. In the very beginning, when Jim and Tammy met in college, they set off, had the same spirit to do the work of the Lord. And then they, got connected, and, before you know it, they were doing a show and money was coming in, and they were taking pledges and things like that. And then you start to see them misappropriate the money. And interesting enough, Tammy's mom in there was saying, this is all too much. They had bought her a house on the PTL property, and she said, Tammy, I don't need all of this. And she was like, that's okay. The ministry pays for it. That's okay. It's don't care if I got 9 cars, because the ministry pays for it. And it's okay if we buy this mink coat, because the ministry pays for it. And she didn't even know how much money she made. They misappropriated so much, of course, that Jim was convicted and sent to prison. I'm really sad that I just finished this last one, and that is the Hillsong story. And I'm really sad about that because I love the Hillsong music and I love how the movement started.
Yeah.
But it just goes back to, if you're not grounded,
Yeah.
if you are not grounded, and if you don't have people like Lynette Jackson and Janiel Youngblood around you, and you've surrounded yourself with people who are going to tell you, Pastor, you're naked, you don't have no clothes on, this is not good, you're going to end up as these, one is a poking fun show, but the other one, they're real life. And I believe the first one, the Family Gemstone, actually it's actually a parody of Jim and Tammy. And so, but it is so true. And so I will go to as far as to say, you may not like me, you may even want to fire me, but I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to share what I know is to be true, because I have a answer to my God. Because my partner is the Holy Spirit in my business. God's blessed my hands to do this work and charged me to do this work. I used to tell my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't know if I want to, work with the church, because God's people are really kind of funny. Really, I love God, but His people are a little off, And so I just realized that this is serious for me. And so I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. So I want you to kind of talk to some of the points that we had on Clubhouse today. You talked about business and personal funds being commingled. So you talked a little bit about that, but I want to talk a little bit about nonprofits being in revocation, because I know of a person who was collecting money for their nonprofit, knowing full well that nonprofit was in revocation. So first of all, talk about what revocation is. And then help us understand how not to get into a situation of revocation.
So, and I'll make the distinction between churches versus other nonprofits. There are special tax laws for churches, where churches don't have to file for 501c3 to be exempt, to be a tax exempt organization, right? There's automatic exemption for churches. However, even if a church does not file, they are still held to the same requirements and regulations of tax exempt organizations. So that being said, with not regular nonprofits that do file for that 501c3 status, they have certain parameters and regulations that they have to file. One exception is that nonprofits file a 990. Churches typically, unless there's some other business entities attached to it, don't have to file a 990. So one way that a nonprofit gets into revocation and has that 501c3 tax status stripped from them is by not filing their returns, right? So for the traditional nonprofit outside the church, if they don't file that 990 after a certain period of time, I think it's 3 years, you can get in the revocation status. For churches, it's if you're not following those guidelines that other nonprofits have to follow, taking care of the income taxes. I mean, the payroll taxes. Like, even though nonprofits are tax exempt, they are not exempt from paying payroll taxes. You have to record what you're paying people, right? And you have to make sure that you are being gracious and honorable to the donors and doing with the funds what they have asked you to do, or going towards the nonprofit purpose. If you misappropriate that funds, then you can have your tax exempt status stripped from them. The consequence of being in revocation from your tax exempt status is that the donors don't get to claim that deduction. And that's taxable income to those organizations. So there are huge consequences for not staying on top of that. And it's not just for the organization, it's messing up all the donors that have sold into that nonprofit, into that church. I mean, you have the individuals who don't pay attention to those details have messed up the tax, a tax perspective for their donors, right?
For their donors.
So it's really a huge responsibility and accountability placed on the leaders of those organizations to make sure you're doing what's right by your donors, by the IRS, by your state and local, laws and things like that. It's worth it to do it right. If you're going to do it, if God has called you to a business,
Yes.
an organization for a specific purpose, if you're going to do it right, or don't do it at all, because you'll do more damage.
Yes.
Like we've seen, like those shows you talked about, it does damage to the kingdom, to the reputation, to the donors, right? People's lives are at stake. When we start messing with people's money, hey, you don't want to mess with
Listen,
people's money. So
that
we
part.
want to make sure that we're handling with integrity. And again, some people, it's just ignorance. They don't know. And if you don't know, you need to hire professionals that can help you.
That's
You
right.
don't have to be alone. You don't have to know it all or do it all, but know when to ask for help.
I love that, Janelle, because if we're going to do it right. I mentioned this. I always go out on Instagram before I come out, just to tell people that are on there to come on over if they want to. And I'm now calling it like the show before the show. I go out a few minutes and I tell a little bit tease about what we're going to talk about. But I think that it's so important that people set up themselves correctly from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I started my business in 2017. And one of the first things I did was I got my LLC. I took my LLC. I went to the bank. I opened up a bank account. And listen, I still have that same bank account.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just gave me my second debit card on that bank account because it expired. So, it's just when people will tell you, I've done work with vendors. I've said, okay, well, how do I pay you? Who do I make the check out to? Or who do I, send it? Can you send me an invoice? They're like, no, just Cash App me. Yeah. And I'm like, Cash App you? Yeah, just Cash App me or Zelle me. Yeah. Or I'm like, well, who should I make it out to? It's like, well, just make it to my name. It's like, no. You just told me you had a business.
Right.
And so for those business owners that are out there, Janiel, that are calling themselves a business, but have not done the proper paperwork, what would you do to say to them, or how would you help them or advise them?
Yeah, I would say you want to, like you talked about, start off with a good structure, because how you start really does dictate how you end. That's and good. You want to think about the long term for yourself, right? So start with getting a bank account. Right? Allow your systems to be set up where if you need to accept electronic payment, do one that is integrated with your software or your back-end system. That's so that you can keep accurate records. So one of the things I just want to clue in and give a tip, some people have been getting Cash App because they didn't want to flow it through certain systems because they thought they keep it under the radar. Tax laws have changed beginning in 2022. Even Cash App is now going to be, if you're getting funds for business activity through Cash App, it's going to be traced and tracked. You're going to get a 1099. So there's no way around it, right? If we're going to do it, let's just go ahead and do it right.
That's good.
And really being able to set up a structure where the money coming in, you have records of that, right? That you have an accounting system. And some people might say, oh, I can't afford that yet. I'm not big enough for that yet. You can get accounting systems very cheap, subscriptions online.
Absolutely.
Very cheap. And I dare say, while it's not my most favorite, but I have had clients who start here with Excel. Like, just have a way to start, right? Just record what's coming in, how much is coming in each month, and just take a record of it, right? And just really put yourself in a mindset. I talked about this morning. Start with the mindset that you are a business owner. That's going to set you apart from just, doing a little side hustle out of your home, right? Like, we're gonna set ourselves up as a business so that we can attract the type of clients that we want.
That's
we can posture ourselves in a way that says we are professional, regardless of what the actual task is that you're doing. When you say you're a business owner, there's a certain level of expectation that comes with that. If you're running a business out of your home, then make it the most professional aspect. And now with COVID, we all running it out of our home, right? We all running it out of our home. But make it so professional that it doesn't matter what location that you're in. You've got a professional posture. You've got a bank account. You issue invoices. You've got a way to follow up and make it a business, not just you paying people out of your own personal pocket, right? Or taking money in your own personal pocket. You want to separate the business because there are legal and tax consequences for that as well. Like you talked about setting up the LLC and separating funds. There are legal and tax responsibilities for doing that. I know that there were some people who wanted to get a PPP loan.
Mm,
and couldn't get it
couldn't get it.
because they did not have their financial structure in place. They didn't have funds set aside or a separate bank account. It was all mixed together. So the government's not going to just pass it
No
out and you got your
way.
stuff jacked up, right? So we want to make sure
That's
that we're
right.
setting up from the beginning, even if it's small. It's okay to start small. Despise not small beginnings, because if you can handle the little that comes in, then you're prepared to handle the much, right? I said earlier today too, more money, more income coming in doesn't always solve the problems, because if
More
you don't know
money,
how
more
to handle,
trouble.
okay, if you don't know how to handle the little that comes in,
Yes.
if you get more money, all it does is magnify the problem. So if you got poor money habits with the little bit that comes in,
Mm.
more money is not going to fix it, right? You have to learn how to take care of the little so that you're prepared for when the much. God is not going to bless mess. Okay.
No,
And
he
so
is
you
not
got to
going to
be able
bless
to,
mess.
yeah, to change the habits to be able to operate with the spirit of good stewardship.
I
Yeah.
love the mindset piece, because you really do have to change your mindset. You have to change how you think about yourself.
Yeah.
You have to think about how you think about your business.
Yeah.
You know, I am in a business. I own a business. And so many people will say, oh, I own a business. But when it comes down to the rubber meeting the road, when it comes down to whether or not you have an EIN,
Yeah.
it's like, well, no, I'm playing business. You know, I started a business and I'm doing this. And it's
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
play business.
Yeah.
You know, just speaking about the PPP, so many people missed out on that opportunity
Yeah.
during COVID.
Yeah.
And so many people missed out on major grants with the SBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Small Business Administration was giving out thousands, and I am a recipient of them grants. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I had gotten an opportunity. I did an EIDL. And just got a small loan with
Yeah.
them, which
Yeah.
they keep pushing back.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
eventually they're going to forgive it.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, they told me, oh, yeah, you qualify for our grant. And I was like, they came after me and said, I qualify. And I looked up and one day there was the money. And I'm like, well, and I don't have to pay that back. It was a grant. It was a gift to me as a small business person. And so if I didn't, Janiel, have my documents in order and have my stuff together where the government could go and pull a 4506T, where they could go pull a 4506T on me, which is a request for my documents, there's absolutely no way they would have been able to give me a grant. So many people have messed up with the PPP situation because they didn't have their ducks in a row. My brother always say, you know, there's a thing that he used to say, oh, you wanted to, he said, my ducks ain't in a row. He said, they're all over the yard. And that is true. Your ducks are not in a row. They're all over the yard. You're saying that you're a business and you're not a business. You're doing things, you're commingling your money. This is the time to stop doing that.
Right.
As I was sharing with you about the person that I knew that they had their stuff in revocation, they were taking small amounts of money through their foundation. And I was like, don't even mention the foundation. You have no foundation. You don't. And it's like smaller amounts of money was, you know, a person like myself, if I wanted to get a tax deductible, like you talked about the donor receipt for my giving, I'm not going to go after $25 or $100. But if I gave you $5,000, I want a receipt for it. Because I get that as a write-off on my end. And they weren't doing it. But then there was someone who wanted to donate a large amount of money to this foundation. And that's when they discovered they're in revocation. So don't think that you have a nonprofit organization, you have a 501c3, that you can take large sums of money because of that, and you're in revocation. Don't think that I'm not going to check your status. Because I can easily go out to the Secretary of State or whatever and find out what and check.
Yeah.
And I can find out if you're in good standing
Yeah.
or not. And
Yeah.
if you're going to do business with people, go out there and check and
Yes.
see if they paid their annual fee
Yes.
for their certificate and their
Yes.
license to stay a business.
Yes.
Check them out, because there are so many people that are frauding people today
Yeah.
with businesses. I saw something on the news here in Atlanta where this guy was selling all these wigs and listen, charging big money for it.
Mm.
And was not a part of the Better Business Bureau. There were like 35, 36 complaints against this person.
Oh.
And the money that he was selling these wigs for was like $3,000-$4,000. Couldn't keep up with and first of all, I can't understand how somebody paid $3,000 for a wig, but I think I could spend $3,000 a different way personally. Okay. I mean, I do like a little piece of her. I like a piece of her. But I'm trying to tell you, I don't think I'm gonna pay $3,000 for a wig. But I mean, hey, to whatever your priorities are, I know my priorities are a little different. However, no judgment to those folks. However, when this guy wasn't able to keep up with these payments, and they started blocking people on social, poor business.
Yeah.
And they went and reported him to the Better Business Bureau. And so now he's going to be, he's going to be sued. And I mean, why put yourself through all of that when you don't have to?
Yeah.
If you just do your stuff right.
Right. And stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right?
Oh,
just
wait,
stay ready.
Hold on.
Stay always ready.
That's a Glenn P. Brooks moment. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Coach, if you're out there, you still out there. She did one of your. Just let that breathe. Please let that breathe. Yes. Stay ready so you don't. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So those people like yourself who had your stuff in order when the government was saying we're going to give you something, you don't have to rush and try to scramble and get stuff there because you're already ready to receive it. You are postured to. If I can just put a plug, it's actually free, so it's a free plug on my website that you got scrolling down there. I have a podcast on my site that says it's called Position to Prosper. If you are in position, if you're ready, when the blessings start pouring out, you are ready to receive. If you got to go out and scramble like the women with the lamps, that
yes.
Be ready. Be ready. Always ready, right?
Janiel, that's
we know what TD Jakes would say, get ready. Do that ahead of time. So that when it's time, you're already ready to receive. So get your business license, get your business account, get your reporting ready. So when people ask for a profit and loss statement because they want to sow into your ministry, how much is your operating budget? I want to cover your business for a year. Whatever that blessing looks like, be ready to receive that by having things in order already.
My mom used to say this to me all the time. It's not when the window of opportunity opens. It's not if it's going to open, it's when it's going to open. And she used to say, well, if you're in the basement, and the window is opening up in the living room and you're not standing there ready, you will miss out on those opportunities. Maybe every now and then you might be in the right place at the right time, but I don't want to live my life on right place at right. I want to make sure I'm in the place on the ready. And so that means that you have to be standing at the door, standing at the window, because it's going to open. You may not know what time it will open today, but it opens every day and blessings are coming out. You just have to be in the position to receive it. And a lot of people miss that blessing because they're not ready to receive it. This is so good. We had a couple people out here that want to say, Sean Venables say, this is good. What's up, Sean? We love you so much. Hey, fam. Like Coach is out there. Awesome. Alexis is out here giving us some love. I mean, it's just so good. You mentioned something today, and I want you to really expound on this because I really feel that you struck a nerve, girl, today when you said this. You said, tell your money where to go.
Yes.
Explain that.
Yeah. So I think it was John Maxwell who said, when you tell your money where to go, you never have to wonder where it went. Right? How many times have we had some cash in our pocket? I thought I had $20. Where did that $20 go? When you tell your money where to go, you never have to wonder where it went. How do you tell your money where to go? Tell it to go, not just with your mouth, that's important, but with a budget. When the money, before the money hits my bank account, I already know how it's allocated. I'm a strong believer in paying my tithes. So 10% off the top is going to go to my tithes. There's a book, Profit First. I'm starting to dig into that to allocate categories to them. But every dollar has a name and has a destination. You have to tell your money where to go. So when you're looking in your bank account and you see those commas and zeros in there, that don't mean you got all this money to go and be free with. It should be allocated for specific purpose. And having and designating it. Maybe you do have a discretionary, you have some set aside that it's going to, for a business purpose, you're going to transfer that as your payroll, as your salary, or as a special fund that you're going to do things in your business with. You have a special marketing and media budget, right? You got a budget for your account.
Because we can spend your money.
Okay. Right. And so, you might have an accounting budget, but having those funds allocated, that's how you tell your money where to go. And I dare say, do it even before the money hit. You might be thinking, I don't even have a bunch of money. Well, when you get it, what you going to do with it? Already pre-planned. Are you prepared? If you had $1 million today come into your business, what would you do with it?
What
do
would
you
you
even
do with
know?
it?
Right? I mean, you'd be amazed when we start talking about vision casting. If you start putting up there, I'm going to make X amount of dollars in my business, and this is how I'm going to spend it. Miraculously,
it's
coming. And you already know what to do with it because God can trust you. He can trust you to be a good steward over what's coming because you counted the cost. That's another scripture I really like about being ready to count the cost of the tower. Who's going to intend to build a tower and not have enough funds to finish it? People going to laugh at you. But when you've counted the cost, and you've laid out the game plan, now it's just a matter of going execute. And so, that's really how you tell your money where to go. Use the budget, use your words, speak to that money in Jesus' name, speak to that seed, tell it what to do. But really, in practical terms, have that budget. It's so simple. Just write it down, allocate it, and work with it. And not just budget. And this is something I heard today that reminded me that the second part of that is follow up to make sure you follow the budget, follow the plan. You might have to pivot and adjust because things happen. But at least start with the plan.
No, that's so good, Janiel. I work with churches a lot, as you know, and one of the things that when they come to me is because they want to be seen outside of the gates. So they want, building programs, they want marketing strategies, they want, social build up, they want all of that. And I have to always dig in, dig deep and go, oh. So where's your budget?
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not the financial person, but I know enough to know that you have to have a budget.
Yes.
That you have to have things set aside in cost centers.
Yeah.
That you have to set up a cost center.
Yeah.
And so because I use a lot of subscriptions in my business, I constantly, once a month, I go back and especially every quarter to see, okay, what subscriptions can I eliminate?
Yeah.
Because I in the moment I said, oh, that should be good for me. I'll go ahead and I know I got some money set aside for subscriptions and I go ahead and I use it, but still I go back and I evaluate that because sometimes I'm like, well, I bought that subscription and I realized I don't even need it that much.
Right.
It wasn't going to do what I thought it was going to do. Yeah. So I go back and I cut that off. And the way that I can do that is looking at my P&L.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because it breaks it up into categories for me. And it helps me to see and understand what I'm spending my money on, where my money is going, how much money I've spent on this, and what I need to, as my mama used to say years ago, there's a freeze on spending. And I learned how to say that to my kids, and they hated it, I would say, oh, yeah, well, we're eating beans and hot dogs or cereal for dinner because there's a freeze on spending. And they hated that term. And I talked about that today about money DNA. And I got that from Carol Hunter, who's going to come on next week. But I talked about that simply because my mother robbed Peter to pay Paul. And I grew up robbing Peter. Like I stole from him. So I robbed that dude. Peter right now, matter of fact, I'm going to have to give an account when I get to heaven for so many times that I robbed that dude. I rolled him. We say that in Philadelphia. Oh, he got rolled. I rolled him. And I paid Paul. And so obviously Paul was the collector.
I owed the debt
I don't understand my relationship with Peter, but I stole from him all the time. But I watched my mom do that.
Yeah.
She was great, like you talked about today.
Yeah.
She figured it out.
Yeah.
She would
Yeah.
figure it out all ways with
Yeah.
her 11th grade education. God rest her soul. She was
Yeah.
smart as a whip, and you could not outcount her. And you better pay her all her money, and you weren't gonna cheat her.
That's right.
Because you know, she used to keep the money, Janiel, in the little black purse that had the little thing.
Yeah.
And then she would stuck it down. Okay.
That's the bank right there.
That was the bank. Isn't that funny? Bibles were banks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mattresses were banks.
Yeah.
And boobs were banks.
Yeah.
But she could do that. But she robbed Peter to pay Paul all the time. And I literally learned that habit from her. And as a result, Janiel, I had bad financial and money management habits. And it wasn't until I started working for myself in 2017 where I said to myself, you know, you're not getting a check every 2 weeks anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't say, oh, well, my next check, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I will. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it when I get paid. No.
Yeah.
It's like I get lump sums.
Yeah. Yeah.
For work. And
Yeah.
I have to manage it.
Right.
I have to live. So you're talking about having to live by a budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell my money where I need to go. Follow up with it.
Yes.
With a budget. I think that is so brilliant. It is so good. We are just, oh my God, we could talk forever. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you come back.
Yay!
I definitely need to have you come back. And maybe what we'll need to do, I don't know, I'm doing what Coach does, stuff off the dome. We'll just have to have a speak out loud, check in on your finances, and just really have you come back, maybe get Alexa and just Alexis to come back and just talk about that, because we want to be able to talk about one last thing that if a person is starting out their business or ministry, and we're talking about making sure that they do it right. Yeah. Just give somebody one like system that they could use that could help them, that you would recommend, that could help them, financial system that could make it easy, because finances just ain't my favorite thing. Right. Yeah. And that might not be somebody else's favorite thing, but it works for me when I have to use the system that I use. Yeah. So the system that I use is QuickBooks Online. You know, it's not everybody's favorite. It works for me. It's simple. It's intuitive. I like, it's funny. Intuit is the web browser, but that's what I use. But I say whatever you use, just use it consistently. Yes. Like you talked about the subscriptions. So yes, there's a monthly subscription if you do the online version. If you're going to pay, use it. It's worth it. It is. It's definitely worth it. Your accountant, your tax person will thank you, because it structures your finances in such a way that you're able to pull that P&L, pull that balance sheet, pull that information very easily for the person that you need to work with. And so I would say, you know, consider QuickBooks. I know there's some others that people use. Zoho, I've heard people use, and some other ones. There's many of them that you can use, but just find one and use it. There's demos. And the other thing about that is, take the time to watch the demos, because you can have a system, but if you're not using it correctly, it won't serve you well. So take the time to look at the demos, and a lot of them are very simple to use. So don't shy away from that, but definitely leverage the tools that help automate your business. So in closing tonight, I want you to look in this camera, and I want you to speak life into a business owner, an entrepreneur, a church leader, a nonprofit owner, and give them words of encouragement about how to be better. Absolutely. So for those who are listening, I just want to encourage you as leaders in your business, your ministry, your nonprofit, that wealth and riches are in your house. In your house, I mean in your circle, in your business, in your ministry, in your mouth. So you have the power to create wealth by changing your mindset, by making sure you're digging into the word of God, because there's biblical principles there, and applying them. Do not be discouraged. If God has given you a vision for ministry or for a business, he will bring the provision. You prepare yourself and be ready to go on fire, because what God has given you to do, you can do. You can do it, because if God has given it to you, he'll give you the strength to see it to fruition. So I just want to encourage you that you have what you need
to succeed. Go out and do great things for the kingdom of God through your business, through your ministry, through your nonprofit.
Ah, I love that. When God gives vision, he also provides the
Yes.
provision for you.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We can't go messing up the provision.
That's right. That's right.
We
For
can't mess
sure.
up the provision. Janelle, thank you so much. As I said, I'm going to be in touch with you because I think we need to have a roundtable discussion, and maybe we'll advertise it so that folks can come in and just get their life together, get their house in order, and so they don't have to have free zone spendings and eat cereal like me and my kids. They hate it that way. Oh no, free zone spending. I'm like, yes. So you're gonna eat that Captain Crunch and be happy. Eat them Cheerios and be happy. And then other times it's like, oh, we got steak tonight. The freeze has lifted.
Yeah, the freeze is lifted.
God bless you, my sister. I love you.
Thank you so much
for blessing our audience tonight.
Absolutely.
And we can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
All right. Well, guys, okay, I told you she was going to be fire, and she was fire. And I'm so excited about what she offers to us. And we could just talk on and on, but I know she has a hard stop tonight. She has something that she has to do with her family. And so I'm just honored, just so honored that she would come on and help us and share with us some of the things that she shared with us tonight. I really, really, really loved what she said about telling your money where to go, because if you tell it where to go, you'll always know where to find it. Woo! Most of us have not know where our money is, because I know I'm that lady that has that $20 in her pocket, and then I go, what happened to it? Because I don't know. I did not manage it properly. Well, guys, thank you so very much for joining another edition of Speak Out Loud. And as we mentioned, breaking news, next Thursday, we are going to be on KBCN Network. You can download it on Roku TV. And so we're going to be live on Tuesdays, Facebook and YouTube. And then we're going to be on KBCN on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Well, I am Lynette Jackson, and I'm host of Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand. We just had the beautiful Janiel Youngblood from Janiel Youngblood and Associates on just helping us learn about how to manage our money. Remember that God loves you, I love you, but most importantly, learn to love yourself. Bye for now.
You've been watching Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand with your host, Lynette Jackson. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And until next week, don't forget to use your voice to speak out loud.